I know the names of this is. I know. I used to live right here, but now.
There's a couple.
Pick out.
Who sent it out? Nancy. Fund that cost. Right.
I think it's up. 7? Yeah. No.
October 5th.
Yes, you're right, there's 9.
All right, 6:30. Let's get the meeting started. Welcome everybody to the Budget Committee. Calling the meeting to order. First order of business is approval of minutes.
I make a motion to accept the minutes as printed.
Second.
All right, any discussion?
I had one question, I'm glad Chief Holland was there, stepped up. On line 59, it said Chief Holland clarified that the cage from the old cruiser would be reused. I thought he had said we'd already had 2 cycles with that cage, so.
No, the cage will be reused, it's the lights that can't keep going.
Yeah.
The cage can be reused?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had, it's been in 2 cars, but it's fine. It's a piece of metal. It's good.
Yeah, okay.
It doesn't wear out.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good.
Anything else? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody?
No,
No, nobody online. Everybody's scared. Anybody against or abstaining? Nope. All right. Minutes are approved. EMS. EMS?
Oh, me?
That's
Sorry.
okay.
My head was up.
Yeah.
So they're getting started, most of you may know, but in the past few months, we made a few changes in the police department in an effort to, promote, police chief to police chief / public safety administrator. So he'll be working through all of these budgets as well, working with the department heads of those departments.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to those of you that are new to the Budget Committee. And I tend to be long-winded, so you can tell me just be quiet if I give you too much information. So there's not a huge change from for the EMS budget for this year coming up. So I'll just highlight some of the, there's really no large changes, but there are some changes. So I'll highlight some of those and then myself or Richard can answer any other questions.
37 at the top, 41 at the bottom.
The mutual aid ambulance services is budgeted at 90,000 for 2025. It was $87,237. The 90,000 is our best guess estimate, I guess you could say it is. Everybody understands how that process works. We get billed in 2026 for our 2025 numbers. That's I think a reasonable calculation, or not reasonable, a very good calculation based off of our response, their response, and the number of calls that we've had, plus our best estimate working with Lebanon on what the price per call is going to be for that time frame.
And we will get that actual number. We should get that actual number before we lock the final budget, so we can make that final adjustment up or down.
Can I ask a question at this point
Sure.
about calls?
Yep.
So can you just kind of clarify or whatever, like, what is the process at the moment as far as like calls are concerned?
So
Because I know we're trying hard to meet and increase our calls. I mean, do we?
Sure, for 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., Lebanon is automatic. So any med call that comes in from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. for Enfield, Lebanon automatically dispatches.
And what about before 6?
So from
You're
6
saying-
p.m. to 6 a.m., Lebanon's on mutual aid. So we respond to, we get paged out for those calls. And after the 3rd page, if we haven't answered that, then Lebanon is automatically sent mutual aid.
And do we ever answer calls during that?
Oh, yeah, we're at about 40%. we're about 40% of the, not of those calls, of all the calls, about 40% are what the Enfield EMS responds to. What we pay the $379, is that what it was for last year from something, $379 is from 6 AM to 6 PM. As soon as, when that call comes in, it automatically goes to Lebanon. And so as soon as Lebanon's toned and they leave their station, Enfield is billed $379. That's where that $87,237 at the 6 PM to 6 AM, they're mutual aid. So it's much like, how our mutual aid works for police, fire, EMS, right? They don't bill us for those calls. It's a mutual aid agreement between us, right? Same thing with, if we go to, if Canaan comes in to help us out with a police call, or we don't get billed for that. That's the same with the fire calls.
So,
What percent of our calls during that 6 PM to 6 AM for EMS services are covered locally?
I don't have the,
Dig into it,
yeah, I could tell you, but I could tell you that it's not, so of 100% of all our EMS calls, including from 24 hours a day, our EMS covers approximately 40%. I think it's just under that. It's in the high 30%. So right now,
We're really only covering 12 hours.
So hold on,
What
but-
percent of those are covered?
Do we not, does Enfield not respond at all between
There-
6 AM and 6 PM?
yes, correct. Enfield, currently, Enfield does not respond from 6 AM to 6 PM.
Okay,
Lebanon is automatic.
Do we
why is that?
respond in the
Yeah,
weekends, right?
On the weekends, yeah, that's Monday through Friday. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay,
What's the split for weekends?
We they go to us.
24 hours.
24 hours.
Yeah.
Yep. And again, it's a mutual aid, right? So after 3 tones, Lebanon responds.
Cause you might only have one person in town.
Right.
If it's a nice day.
so do you know roughly like in the last 3 months, like how many calls there's been and how many Enfield has answered?
I don't off the top of my head, not without the number. You have to pull everything from the computer,
Okay.
but we can get you any information you want. It just.
So we can
spits it
get
out.
to those numbers,
Yeah.
but you will see as we go through this, that our call response has been growing and growing the last couple of years. We're going to a lot more calls than we did 2 years ago, and we're also doing a better job at collecting on those calls.
So that leads us right into the next one, which is so ambulance personnel. So that's a totally different line, right? Those are where we respond to. So that is an increase to 33,000. We've brought on 3 more EMTs. Actually, I believe we're gonna be up to almost
No,
5.
we got 3.
We got 3 right
We
now,
got
right?
3.
Yeah.
One girl dropped
Yeah,
out.
okay, so we're at 3 more EMTs. As you can see in the line, going back there, we're probably, estimating we're probably gonna be a little bit over that line, the other 25,000 that was budgeted that, because we are responding to more calls, we have more people. And,
You
yes,
think that's because of the new building?
I think that's part of it. I do. Yep, absolutely. I think that, like Tracy had said when we first started the project, that, build it and they will come. I think me and Richard have talked about this. We now meet, bi-weekly.
That's why he's talking.
And even some of the members of the fast squad that had kind of waned off and weren't really doing a lot of calls, now that we're in this new building and there's kind of this new energy behind, they're starting to show up to a lot more calls and stuff like that. So absolutely. So we budgeted for more money because our anticipation is that we want to respond to more calls.
So how many people do you have, Richard, that?
We we will have, it's gonna be probably 13 now. So, and just so you guys know, one of the girls is coming on. She just finished up her paperwork. She's actually a nurse. One was a fire chief, experienced EMT. We have another paramedic, but we're not jumping to the paramedic level yet because it's just so expensive to do that. So he'll be at the advanced level. So it's like we're getting really experienced people. So
Contracted services, it's only going up $300, but this is one I definitely wanted to talk about because this is one that we want to be over on every year because, so how it works is that, we pay a percentage of what we collect in the billings to to, the company that collects it. And that's where that comes out of, out of the contracted services. And so with the law change that's taken into effect in January and our increased response to calls, we projected our percentage is gonna go up to what we have to pay to the contracted services that, you know, in other terms is what's actually coming back to the town for services rendered in medical and billing.
And what about uninsured patients? Are we billing them or how are we doing that?
So that is something that is currently, so they do get a bill. I get a report that we review and stuff like that. And that's something that we're gonna be working with the select board to kind of get a specific order direction, you know, going into next year. Now, in my new role, being full-time, you know, obviously Richard's not, you know, full-time, and so taking on that as his role wasn't really feasible. In my new role, that's kind of one of my key jobs is to take that bull by the horns and work with the select board and the town manager and figure out where we want to go as far as the billing cycle. Right now, it's sort of soft billing. I know, you know, this meeting's probably gonna be a little long, so I won't get into the nitty gritty of it, but there's a new law change that's taken effect in New Hampshire, which is gonna change medical billing throughout the whole state, which is very positive, I think, for the town. And so, I'll be talking with the select board, you know, shortly within the next coming months about what direction, you know, giving them some options and what direction they want to take it.
As I say, long story short on that, they're gonna reduce the amount that we can bill to a standard bill, but the insurance companies will have to pay that.
But
There
what
will
about
be
uninsured?
What was that?
What about uninsured people?
Uninsured people will still have to deal with them like we do now. And, you know, what some of the towns around us do and what we'll be talking to the select board about is probably soft billing Enfield residents and hard billing outside of Enfield.
So, and it just, I mean, I know there's definitely concern for, uninsured people and stuff like that, and just to be clear, you know, for Enfield, in my grant writing, I have to collect a lot of data, stuff like that, and, Enfield is less than 5% is uninsured.
Do we bill Medicare?
Yes. So that's the big, again, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but that's kind of one of those things that like, so if we set, so every ambulance business, every ambulance for a town, they set what their roll out the door rate is, right? So the average is $1,200 to $1,400. So let's just say it's $1,200. Medicare is only paying $425. So you can bill them $1,200, but Medicare is only paying $425. And so that is a trickle down effect, right? So, well, if Medicare can get away with paying $425, you know, Blue Cross wants to negotiate with you, well, we'll pay $900 or we'll pay, you know, this, that. And so the state did away with that. Now there is a billing, chart, as if you would say, and if you sell insurance in New Hampshire, this is what you're gonna pay. So our, you know, it's kind of a, it's confusing when you start looking at it, you know, it can show that we have $200,000 in billables, but we only collected $90,000. Well, that's because we were still billing in the old way of, even if it's Medicare, Medicaid, we'll bill at $1,200, knowing they're only gonna give us $425. So it looks like we collected 33%, right? But really, we knew from the beginning, that's all we were gonna collect, so should have billed it at. what we're gonna collect.
Cap that New Hampshire put on how much can be billed?
Yes, no, it's not a cap. New Hampshire put on a thing, if you do this, you will bill this.
Yeah, the new law says this is what you
And how
will
much is
bill
that?
and this is what you will.
It's a
bill.
whole list.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
complex.
It's very complex. It's, you know,
It's not a cap, it's not a global thing then.
it's global in the fact that it's like, okay, if it's a roll out the door and it's just a you know, a basic, ambulatory transport, it's X amount. And then but here's where it gets complicated, right? But if you add in that AED had, you know, a defibrillator had to be used, then you can add this much, you know, it's kind of a,
Menu.
yeah, thank you, a flow chart.
Percentage do we pay the company that does the medical billing for
At
us?
least 7%.
I don't know.
I believe it's 7%. Or it was when I did all the research a few years back. I was only involved in that part. Now I'm back into it. All right, so going down the line, supplies is, I just want to talk about that and the fact of that if you look into previous years, you know, it was They spent the 6,000. This year it's 2,300. I've been working with, ever since I took my role on, working with Richard and one of the people he appointed to, make sure that we have a constant, so we've kind of appointed a quartermaster to make sure we have track of all gear and all that stuff, but also that we have, a inventory of equipment and stuff that needs to be turned over and stuff like that. And so we didn't feel that, even though they didn't spend the money this year, we felt that going into next year that it'll be still well spent, just like it was, the year prior. And then, other than that, there's no really big changes in there. You'll see a lot of the stuff is zeroed out. And that's because being in the one building, we didn't feel like it was, made sense to have three different, divide the internet bill by three, right? We're just gonna pay it as one, the same thing with, all those other things. And then, continuing education, with bringing on, we got 3 more EMTs coming on now. They're gonna have continuing education. Our goal is to bring on 3 to 5 more next year. And those could be, anywhere from, basic EMT to advanced EMT. And those costs are, our goal is to apply for every grant that we can. There's currently a grant that says that we can get, if they go to only certain programs, we can get reimbursed for the EMT program, but I can't guarantee that those will be there come January 1. And if the money's not here, then we wouldn't be able to, train people, right? Everybody who's been on this board as long as I've been chief anyway knows that if there's a grant there, we'll find it and we'll apply for it, but we have to plan for it to actually not be there when it comes around.
No replacement equipment?
No, we replaced everything that for this coming year so we have a CIP. We do have something in CIP, which is the major equipment replacement this year, which is the defibrillator.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
And equipment, not supplies.
Right.
So it's just bigger equipment.
That would be like if we had to replace the mobile suction machine or the, stuff like that, so.
That was one of my questions. The second was, what is our contract with Revenue? Is it 379 for the foreseeable future?
We have one more year, right?
I think it's one more
One
year.
more
It might even be, I think it's a year for us, but they have a fiscal year later than us, so.
Okay.
But
So,
I think we have one more year on the contract and then we'll be looking at it. They are really changing the way that they do billing.
Yeah.
But we'll be working with them on that. And of course, we're gonna be working on some other ways that we may be able to do some things to reduce those costs.
thank you.
Anybody else got anything for the
Do we have a rough idea of how many of so we essentially get charged as soon as they roll out, right?
As soon as their front wheels leave the roll off of their
Yes,
apron.
Right.
300 and,
yes.
yes.
Do we have roughly how many calls get canceled on the way here?
From 6 AM to 6 PM, very few.
And we try not to. When we go to a call and they come at night, echo levels are coming automatically, CPR in progress and everything. Once in a while, they'll get a call, like say, I went the other night by myself. It turned out because I was by myself, I can't transport. So they were on their way, but we gotta pay them.
Yeah.
So I ended up saying, hey, it's not gonna be a no transport, sign the patient off and, you get a small majority of those. Not a lot majority, a minority of calls like that, very small. But we try not, if they're coming, what's the sense of canceling? We will transport. But if they're busy, we will definitely cancel them because they got their own town to worry about. So.
So rolling into next year as well, I think it's prudent to talk about that we are rolling out the program that we talked with the with the committee about. And so in February, in our new facility, we'll be hosting an EMT basic course. And I believe the plan is right now to have 3 officers in that course. And so at that point, after that, then we'll have 4 or a
The
little.
90-hour course?
It's the full EMT basic
Yeah.
course.
It's 90 hours, right?
No, it's way more.
No, 200 hours?
Yeah,
200 hours?
yeah.
250?
240 hours.
240. 140. It's a hybrid, right? They do the hybrid version where you get assigned your homework. you do it online, this and that, and then they show up and we do the practicals in
It's
person,
hard.
so. But we're rolling out the program that we talked about that, and those of you who don't know what that is, our goal is to get 90% of the police department, EMT certified. And then once they pass, get EMT certified and pass the chief standards of care and stuff like that, that we've already worked with Lebanon. That, our goal is for Alpha, Bravo and Charlie level calls, which are your non-life threatening calls. That the police department, we respond to all med calls anyway. We're gonna go, we'll do the eval, and because those are the calls that, you get a lot of sign off when you get there, like they don't want to go to the hospital, or they decide they don't need to go to the hospital, or.
Right.
Those, and those we're paying, $400
Yeah.
when they roll out, and so. One, there'll be a certain level of care, our response time is 3 to 8 minutes, right? So there'll be a certain level of care within 3 to 8 minutes. From a basic EMT certified person, and then two, and I'd say it would be secondary is that those. Percentage of the calls, and we did the math for the group, but I don't have it in front of me, but their percentage of those calls. Lebanon won't be rolling out, and you would say to yourself, like, I don't know if Lebanon's gonna like that, they love the idea. Because they're busy, and rolling out to Enfield for somebody that doesn't want to go to the hospital, refuses to go to the hospital, or doesn't need to go to the hospital. Saves them to be available for those calls that they do need to be there for.
They covered more than just us.
Does the Enfield Police Department show up even when Lebanon comes?
The only time that Enfield PD doesn't go to a call is if it's an Alpha Bravo or Charlie level call and they're tied up on something else, then we don't go, right? But if we're out patrolling and we're not on a call, not on a motor vehicle, stuff like that, and a call comes in, we go.
Is there any goal to change from Lebanon to Enfield during 6 AM to 6 PM?
Not right now. So in the study that we worked with the, what was the name of the Emergency Services Advisory Committee? They recognized that for EMS, we would need to be at approximately 600 calls for, for 2 years, going into our third year. And right now we're floating between 350, 375 to 400 a year. And we've been in that range for the last 3 to 4 years. So in the next 3 to 5 years, I don't see that being it. Once we start hitting that, so once we hit that for 1 year, my ears will perk up. When we're in that second year and we hit that, we'll be talking to this committee about, okay, how do we plan for the third year? Do we need to go to a full-time EMS at that time?
The one thing that would change that quickly would be if Lebanon came back in a year and a half and said, hey, we have a new contract for you, it's doubled. That might make us.
No, absolutely. I mean, what could also change it? Like everything, right? The landscape can change it. We don't know right now what this new billings, for the state is gonna mean for us. I believe it'll mean, just as a personal guess, or educated guess, I'd say, that it'll mean more revenue, it'll definitely mean a higher percentage of our collection for what versus billable. And so, it'll be interesting when we're sitting here next year at this time, when we've had almost a year of the new state law to look at what is our revenue versus billables.
You may start attracting more people that are available during the daytime or weekday.
It could be, yeah, absolutely.
If somebody had, I don't wanna get off the track here, but if somebody had a specific question for you about response time and who responded, how they responded, how should they approach it?
They should email they should email a 91A request to me or to Emily. Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm a little confused about what the need is for a 91A request if you're related to the person or it's a family member.
Because it protects the town. Or that we're just not openly providing information to people. Plus, when a 91A request comes in, what we have to do is there's very specific for almost anybody, if you call and you have to request information for a family member that was transporting this and that, they're protected under certain rules, right? For the ambulance, it's HIPAA, right? HIPAA is a way overused word, right? Everybody tries to hide behind HIPAA, but for the ambulance, that's about as blatant as it can get. So a lot of times we'll get somebody that will call and say, you know, my cousin, my nephew, my sister, my brother, whoever, was transported by the ambulance. Whether it's, I thought it took too long, I thought it was great, I want to know who's on it, like that. There's a very specific guidelines of what we can or can't release. And for the ambulance, a lot of that falls under HIPAA. So as much as we want to give people the information, there's just rules that say we can't. And why we do a 91A request is because that protects the town. You put it in 91A, everybody who requests information, we say,
Oh, I know, regular.
go ahead and just email, and we don't make it complicated. We don't say, come in, fill a form. We don't say, hey, no problem. Here's my email address. Here's Emily's email address. Here's, you can just drop off write it on a napkin or some form of it, just so we have a documentation. This is what the request was made. This is information that we provided so that if somebody ever comes back, so say it was a family member, say it was a brother, and he wanted to know what happened with his sister, and we provided the information, and then she came out, she said, I didn't want him to know what happened to me. Here's what we provided, here's what was requested, here's what we provided under the law. That protects the town. And, it's transparent to the other people that want to know what information was released.
Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. Anybody else?
Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
Thanks, guys.
Higher.
$38 on top 40.
More coverage on the top. Yeah, I'll rest, you talk.
No, we'll talk together.
There we go.
How's that?
All right.
Make sure you stay in sync then.
Pardon?
Make sure you stay in sync if you're.
Well, look, again, same with Richard. Actually, all three of us meet every other week and work on, and this is a great thing that's happening, under this new building and this new thing is that the three of us meet every other week and work on how we can, make things better for the town through the police, fire and ambulance. So.
Again, not a lot of change, little increase in the firefighter services. Just because numbers of calls are going up. We were up 38% last year. We're probably gonna see in the range of that 30 to 40 again. Fire department's being called for everything, anything imaginable the fire department is being called for. And we could talk about types of calls for a while, but,
No, go ahead. I was just gonna already jump in with Phil on this, and I want everybody to remember too, that, even though we got rain last week, we are 17 inches into a drought. And as soon as that ground freezes, we are not gaining on that. So, and as our new year starts and we start coming into spring, we are gonna be in a drought and we're gonna be in a severe drought. So, it could be I don't want to say worst nightmare situations, but we gotta be prepared for that as well.
And also in the firefighter services, happy to say that we have currently 4 new members that have come on. We have a couple more that are in the process, and we're working towards a level 1 for some of the current members and the new members for level 1 training. So with that, that kind of goes throughout the whole budget with, when you're talking about, clothing, and then, supplies and services for pay. Again, there's not a lot of change, and some of the items are zeroed out, which will be a combination because of the public safety, that where all 3 departments will be doing it together through the public safety.
So Bill, can we just back up a minute and?
Yeah.
The big jump from, forestry from 131 to 4,000?
It's budgeted for
It's
4,000
budgeted for 4,000.
this year. It is, so there's no jump. It's budgeted the same. We've only used 131.
And
Oh, okay.
And the reason for having that line is to be able to track it forestry separate from typical firefighter services, because some of that may be reimbursable by the state. But we have to track it separately, and that's why we split that 4,000 out of that line.
So even though you've only actually spent $131, you're still gonna ask for 4,000?
I don't have a crystal ball, Gene, and the way this year has gone, and as Roy was alluding to, what I think the rest of this fall could be and what the spring could be. I think it's wise to keep those numbers there.
Well, just one example is if we get one small fire, that $4,000 is gone.
Yeah.
Right? If we budget zero,
Well, the
now we're
fire,
trying to find
the
that.
fire that we had up on Shaker Hill, up on Shaker Mountain 2 years ago. I went back and I don't know that I tracked everything, that I was able to come up with the numbers, and that was over $6,000. So, does not take long once you start looking at personnel. And the other part of that is that we can get reimbursed on some of that, but other towns can bill us if they choose to on forestry, where they can't on firefighter services for typical mutual aid. So, again, that's the reason for breaking that out. I guess open it up for questions. The vehicle repairs and maintenance, gonna see that line going over this year, because we did find that there was some maintenance that hadn't been being done. So this is a catch-up year, but we should be into a cycle that will make it more even for us, and keeping up with that.
What's the latest on the new truck when we get that?
Talked with them today, as a matter of fact, and they just moved it to the first or second week of December.
Okay.
This started out having gonna been in September.
Yeah.
It's the parts chain.
Does it mess with our budget significantly if it slips into January?
No, it's coming out of CIP, so it doesn't mess with our budget at all.
And less equipment, but what, $8,000 worth less equipment in this budget, and there was similar in the ambulance, where are the savings coming from?
Well, I think there's a part of the savings is the new building, so there's gonna be a lot less maintenance in the new building versus Union Street. So we'll just have the maintenance, the typical maintenance upkeep of the center stations. All the trucks, once the new tanker is here, are within a 5 to 7 year window of being new and keeping up with that maintenance. It's just like keeping your own car up. You take your car for your oil changes and you do your typical maintenance on it. They last a lot longer. We're instituting a couple things. We did purchase last year an undercarriage washer, which is just simply attaches to a pressure washer. So we run it under the vehicle occasionally during the winter, get that salt and grime off the bottom. It's proven, it works. The vehicles will be undercoated more often than what they had previously.
And one thing I've really been preaching since I've gotten here was, let's not hold line items to hold line items. If we need equipment, let's put money in and explain why we need equipment. And if we bought equipment and we don't expect to buy it, let's put that line back down so someone else may be able to use it to buy something.
So and I just want to speak to it under, clothing. It says it's only $152 spent this year, but
So far.
well, that's, you took the words out of my mouth. So, again, as with the ambulance, and actually more so with the fire department, we've started a quartermaster program where, tracking, so fire suits are rated for about 5 years for interior and
About the R5 years.
yeah, 5 years for interior. And then, and there's all different, certifications and levels. So we've worked together and we're started a quartermaster program to help track that and replace it at a more consistent interval. So that some years you'll look back and it's a lot of years prior, the money wasn't spent. But then if you go back a little deeper in the history, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we need $20,000 this year. Oh, yeah, okay, it's not. So we expect that money to almost all be spent this year and then again next year because we've identified how we're gonna work for that system to replace equipment for people that are coming to calls, responding to calls, to get certified to be at that level that needs to be for safety and to be able to
Well,
respond.
and the other folks that are on the department are gonna be using the equipment that is out of date, but directing traffic and being on scene does not require the same level of that 5-year rotation protection. So it's gonna be identified as needed and required, not just because people have reacted.
What about line 740? We're historically significantly below it and it says we should need less. So why are we budgeting double what we normally spend?
Because want to make sure that we are equipped in the new station, that we haven't, missed anything. And, I would again caution in cutting that too low, because if we lose a set of jaws due to whatever, if we lose a portable pump, if we lose a couple SCBA's, that number is going to be eaten rapidly. That will take that number. I'd rather come back and say we didn't have the issues, but I would also be remiss in saying as a chief that I don't think that something's going to happen and we're gonna have to replace something that's gonna require that amount of money.
And one thing to remember as you're looking at those types of things is you put that National Fire Protection Agency stamp on something and the price goes up dramatically. It was a long time ago, but I was on buying hazmat gear for my fire department and the same pair of lacrosse boots without the NFPA stamp were $15. They were almost $300 with the NFPA stamp. So it's tremendous increase as soon as you say it's fire rated.
Well, and there's a limit.
So SCBA's, those types of things, you're talking $5,000 a pop. It's not small money that we're playing with here. It can happen fast. So we don't want to over budget, but we don't want to under budget either.
And there's a limited number of manufacturers. It's not, you don't have 20 options to go out and purchase from. You have gear right now, looking at gear, and for a good manufacturer to be able to give us what we need for protection, you're looking at 3. And those 3 will fall, I can tell you right now, will fall within about $150 of each other for a complete set of gear. It's how the industry, I used to go.
Anything else?
Anybody else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Luke, you wanna come up? Come on up. Come on up.
Hit the big bucks.
Big buck.
Yes. For those who don't know, this is, Luke Fry. He's the deputy chief now. That position was, we promoted him from lieutenant to deputy chief when I took over as the emergency services director. So really, this is his budget, but I went over and approved and we worked together on, so, let's see.
Are we fully staffed?
We are.
What
Not only are we fully staffed, we are fully staffed. And
does that mean?
I'm glad you asked. So I've been here for 23 years, 24 years. It's been about 20 years since we've had all our full-time spots filled and all our part-time spots filled
Okay.
within the police department. And I'm proud to say through our team that we are fully staffed. We are, all our part-time and full-time slots are full.
And for the whole year?
No,
Okay.
right now. I can't promise.
All right.
2 months from now, I'm saying,
So,
as of right now. So we had a vacant slot from February to September.
okay.
And that's why you see that our budgeted 642 and our actual is 467. And then,
How many full-time are there? 7? Six.
what's that?
Are there 7? Or, yeah.
There were 6 full-time for the
Yeah.
year. And then we had one vacancy for approximately, is that 8 months? If I'm doing my math right in my
8
head,
months.
8 months.
Okay.
Right. And that, so,
I'm gonna just butt in, just so you guys know, but we made 2 offers in the last couple weeks. When those people start, the town will be fully staffed.
wow.
So they both accepted, so we're moving towards full staff. Townwide.
And so I have a question about, staffing people. I know we were giving hiring bonuses.
Yep.
And we give hiring bonuses to people that return.
We did, in this case, the person was gone for 3 years, which would have been what their contract was. And they would have gotten a hiring bonus any other place that they would have gone to apply to.
They left prior to that coming into implementation. That was part of my thought process, because I didn't want to pay someone that left to come back. But they had left before we implemented this program, before we were able to offer a retention bonus. So we did a one-time. They're not gonna, no one will get a second full-time signing on bonus.
And can I ask, just to kind of clear the air about things people have said to me in the community, and I know how these things get started. What sort of hiring bonuses did we give?
Sure, so we have a tiered program, but, so our new officer, Cam Hill, is fully certified, so he got a $20,000 sign-on bonus. So he got, half of it, upon starting, and he'll get the other half when he reaches the 12-month period. He signed a 3-year contract with a what's the
Non-prorated.
non-prorated, right? So what that means is that if he leaves anytime in that 3 years, even if it's 2 years and 362 days, he owes a whole $20,000 back to the town. And then we have, and he's not the only one, right? Officer Bover, who came on almost, just about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Yep, a year and a half ago. She got a $20,000 sign-on bonus because she was already full-time certified. But what I say, $20,000 is a bargain, because it costs $75,000 to $100,000 to train somebody brand new through the academy and get them with experience out on the road. So, and then everybody but myself and Luke and one other officer are currently on a 3-year retention bonus, which is a 10,000 or on their first contract, which is a $10,000 retention bonus. And we're one of the few PDs we're one of the few PDs that started it, but a lot of them are seeing it and starting to offer it because they see that it works. So that, and my hope and goal is that, when our current officer, who's coming up at the end of his contract at the end of this year, that we're able to offer him a retention bonus and keep him on for another 3 years, but I don't know. We got towns like Lebanon that offer $30,000 sign-on bonus for certified people. Almost everybody around us offers something in that neighborhood of $20,000 to $30,000. So.
Your contracts are like typical.
So I'd say, I don't know. I only do law enforcement contracts, so
But in police and.
it is very typical now, yes.
Like Lebanon has the same thing with 3-year contracts, or are they?
Yep, Lebanon, Hanover.
One I know doesn't do contracts is Canaan.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we invest, when we bring somebody on brand new, we invest a lot of money in that person. If you think about it, right, we hire them, lots of physicals and law enforcement is not just, oh, hey, welcome, you know, here you go, here's your here's your gun, here's your badge. Have a good day, right? We send them to a 16-week academy that we pay them to go to. During that time, they have health benefits, right? And they have, you know, the other fringe benefits. And then after the 16 weeks at the academy, they spend 12 weeks on an FTO, plus equipping that person, plus the, you know, during that 12 weeks, they're tied to an officer who can only, right? They shadow officers. So those officers are tied up with that person. And then on average, it takes 12 to 18 months before somebody kind of finds their groove in law enforcement and is an effective police officer.
Excuse me, what is FTO?
Field training. So you shadow, you know, it's a step program. You shadow somebody and then you're kind of equal and then they try to shadow you, which is really hard in it. Yeah. Well, it's really hard in a town that you've been in for 20 years because everybody wants to talk to you because I know you. But, the part-time personnel line, is, budgeted the same as it was for 2025. I expect to eat every single penny of that, especially now that we have, you know, out of that comes our police assistant, who everybody knows is, most people know is a crossing guard up at the school. She also works with the PD to help us with projects and stuff like that. And then also we have, 3, all certified, part-time officers that work and help us fill, vacations and stuff like that and extra patrols. So, contracted services, that is,
Quick question on that.
Yeah.
How does that work? Are those then people from other towns who do more shifts or what?
so they, what do you mean?
Like, you say you have part-time officers who help with coverage during PTO.
No, during, like vacations and,
So the two that we have.
so our officers, sorry, we're lucky, we're very fortunate. All 3 of our part-time officers are actually full-time certified. They were full-time officers that left to do other jobs, and so they're still full-time certified. And so,
Okay.
one's retired, one's a retired law enforcement officer.
Okay.
One is a airplane pilot.
Okay.
And so he like 12 days on, 12 days off.
Okay.
And the other, works locally and helps us out on weekends and stuff like that. But say, if, Luke goes to, is in a training and then somebody else gets sick, we can call one of them and come cover the shift. Or
Yep.
if like, next weekend we have the, Tiger race.
Yep.
We bring one of them into work and cover some hours at a much discount rate versus paying somebody overtime to help cover, you know, road safety for events like that. So.
Got it. Thanks.
Contracted services line, the year-to-date actual isn't correct. That money's all spent. It was just a clerical error that had to be moved around a little bit. And so that line actually went down a little bit. Why did it go down a little bit?
That's a good question.
We pulled out of, we had an online training program that we were using.
Still pay for that. That's under.
Oh, is that still in? Yeah. I don't know. We zero base go through that line to make sure that we're being accurate with what.
No, it's just what it added up to this year, so.
Yeah.
I think, because UVPA went down a little.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Yeah.
UVPA is going down.
That's right.
slightly.
So our prosecutor line, which pays for
That's right.
our prosecutor, is run off a 3-year average. And that 3-year average is based off how much time she has to spend in court on Enfield cases. And so, lucky for us, I guess, Hanover had all that stuff went on the last couple of years with all the protests and all that stuff. So their time went way up, which means our time goes down. And so, you know, that line drops just a little bit. So, yeah, thank you. So overtime, again, that is right around where it should be for right now, and it's the same amount that we requested. We dropped it a little bit a couple of years ago. Yeah, so I'm not gonna go line by line for the ones that, let's see.
Repairs and service contract drop, what do you got?
Which one?
Most of that
Six degrees
got
wrong.
moved.
Oh, yeah, most of that got moved into the either to the whole town or the whole building.
Okay.
So it got shifted. It didn't go down, it got shifted. You'll see that we're over, a fair amount, a little $4,000 over in our vehicle repairs and maintenance, but we're still asking for the same amount. That amount is exactly what it cost us to, we had an unexpected having to replace the entire exhaust system on a vehicle that was just outside of warranty. So that cost us $4,000. So that's what we're over. So, but we are seeing, positive results with the new program of assigned cruisers, for people being held accountable for taking care of them and tracking who costs us money to fix and who
How
doesn't.
many of our officers are allowed to take the car home at night now? Under the new full employment,
They all live in town or they all live,
within,
very close to.
very close.
Yeah.
Great.
How many live in town?
5.
Okay.
Yeah, fine. That's great. Great. Yeah, anybody got any questions?
The cadet program doesn't have a fund.
No, it hasn't for 10 years.
You're still thinking about something?
No. Really, no, the cadet programs around the country are suffering, especially in New Hampshire. The cadet academy is still very popular. And I don't know that we've actually ever been asked to sponsor somebody, but if we were, we would sponsor somebody to go to it, but,
I don't think I've had any interest at all.
no.
What is it?
So the cadets is like, it was an offshoot of the Boy Scouts, but it was law enforcement based. And so
Okay.
we had at one point in the early 2000s, when I first came on, we had a very vibrant, cadet program, probably 10, 12 young men and women in it. And then it just kind of trickled out and the interest wasn't there. I think it became, these and this and kids, it just, even the Boy Scouts themselves are really struggling to get kids involved. So, no, I could see, I'll probably throw myself on the fire for even bringing this up. I could see us bringing back the Rangers before the cadet program, to be honest,
Actually, had somebody interested in that.
yeah, it's just, I gotta find some bandwidth space to try to start putting that in too. Maybe when I get done the parking project, I can throw that log on the fire. But if those of you don't, remember, I remember the Ranger program was, Chief Geezy had it.
Right.
And it was, adults.
Roughly retired.
Well, mostly, but you didn't have to be retired. But it was adults who lived in town that wanted to volunteer to do stuff with the police department. A lot of it was traffic. But also there were some people that came in and would like move cruisers around for us, and we just kind of set them up places to slow people down and stuff like that. It was called the Ranger program. They were out like Halloween night and they had Ranger vest and they're walking around with flashlights. So it was a great program. Again, same thing with the cadets. It kind of fizzled out. Less and less people were interested in doing it. I think a lot of it, I think the big drop out of it was Chief Geezy's baby and he retired. And I think people said, well, I'll retire from the program too. I'd love to bring it back. I think it could potentially be a successful program. Like I said, I gotta find that bandwidth or assign it to somebody to do.
So have you thought about going to the high school?
We go- So we go to the high school, for, like every time they have career day, actually, I just we're doing another one coming up and just gonna talk to people and, Luke can speak to it more intelligently than I, because I usually pawn it off on him, but, we get maybe 2 or 3 kids that even come up and talk to us about a career in law enforcement.
It's
At the school.
like we used to do the career day where kids come right around with us and
Mm-hmm.
99% of them had no interest in law enforcement. They just did it to, because there was one of the options, but they had no interest in actually doing it.
I mean, we even do the elementary school, we do the middle school. Anytime we're invited to come talk and participate, we do it. We make a point to do it and, just to be out there in the community and it's just one of these things that kids I got two kids that grew up in, well, they're not kids now, they're adults, but they had zero interest in doing law enforcement. They grew up around it, so.
The Boy Scouts at one point had an Explorer program that you tied in with it.
Yes, that was what we were talking about, and that,
And the
we,
cadets.
yep, it was the cadet program.
Right.
And the Explorers, I think was the fire department had their own group, the Explorers, and even got to the point where we tried to combine them to at least help it survive, and then we combined with another town. We tried everything we could to keep that head above water, and it drowned.
Hey, so I added up, police, fire, ambulance, and I compared this year to last year. And you're like right on. I mean, it's like $1,200, actually less.
You gotta add public safety into.
I did not add public safety, no, either.
Right, that's the money that's like,
That was-
so, you know, like I said, it didn't make sense to have 3 internets, 3
Yeah,
phones,
yeah.
3 this, that. So when you add that in, I mean, it's not as significant. We tried to keep it as, right, we did,
So-
not zero-based, budgeting, but we definitely go through everything that we're need, you know, there's needs and
Yep.
wants, and there's not a lot of wants in there, but there's a lot of needs.
If I add that in, you're gonna be, $30,000 on a $1.2 million budget over where you were in 2025.
Yep.
That's pretty damn good, thank you.
It's-
Thanks, thanks to all of you
Everybody.
guys, really appreciate it, and the women, working with you as well. Is that mostly, the impact of the new building, or I think it's an important message to get out that we're level here this last year.
I would just say about 8,000, somewhere in that range that combining saved us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think the rest was just really looking at what costs we needed this year. Not what.
So this is my second year on the committee. One of the things I've noticed is that you guys have found a real nice balance between spending wisely and saying, no, we don't need something.
Sure.
I don't think that's true in every community. In fact, I know it's not. So thank you. Really, we do appreciate it.
I think that, what I do think will be, really beneficial for the budget committee and for the town is that in my role, right, my role is to juggle not just the police budget, but all 3, right? And so, you know, going into this future, if we have a situation where, something catastrophic happens in one department, right? Our goal, that, you know, that me and Ed have talked about a lot, and me and the chiefs, is that like, I consider, I will consider, unless it's a major catastrophe, a failure, if we can't, between the 3 of us, work out where this fits in so that we're not right in the red.
Mhm.
You know, like the ambulance might be because something happened and they responded to a lot of calls, and so their personnel line was way over. Well, you know, all of us have talked and worked out. Well, that's why under one roof and where we meet every couple weeks is we can start going, all right, well, at the PD, we can maybe start shifting something this way to save up, to help be under one umbrella so that we're not 3 different separate entities. If that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So Rory, I just had a question in regards to, the K-9 thing. I know that, I mean, I thought I had read something at some point where someone paid for things for a certain number of years or whatever, but
it's not in the budget at all because it's not costing the town anything. So we received the K-9, it's called the K-9 Stanton Grant.
Mhm.
So far to this year, we've received, $36,500 from the Stanton Grant. We've spent $18,600, out of that grant. And so the dog is now, drug certified, and he's just about to graduate patrol and search and rescue certified. Once he graduates that, we'll receive approximately another $14,000 from the grant. All that goes into a grant line. And so anything that costs for the dog gets expended to that grant line. It doesn't, I promised the town when we asked for that permission from the select board that it would not cost the town anything for 3 years. And that's what the grant, everything's handled through the grant. So for instance, Sergeant Smith was called out to do a drug sniff, which was successful, by the way. We recovered some heroin and some crack cocaine from our K-9, detection. the overtime that was paid to him to come out and do that gets pulled out of the grant. It didn't cost the taxpayers.
Right, I understand that, and that's, you know, my question, but under where it says Stanton Foundation grant, there's nothing indicated across the line, so I guess I'm just a little confused about that.
We started to put it in here, but we track most of our grants in an 04. It's 04, right? 04.
Yeah.
So we put it in a whole different fund and we
Okay.
track them completely separate outside the budget.
Okay,
So taxpayers of Enfield haven't even paid for a leash.
no, I know that, I totally.
Plus in the
No,
second,
but I get that, that was one of the concerns for some people, right? We promised that we got this grant and people had some concerns like, well, it's gonna cost us overtime, that was all figured into the grant, you know, and so we're very, I think that, I can't wait for Sergeant Smith and Rain Corps to graduate in a couple weeks. Because I think that, that was in November, December, okay, so there we go, December. In a month and a half, when he graduates. He'll, I mean, there's been some opportunities that we could have used him, but he wasn't certified yet just for the search part, which is my main concern, you know, want for this community for having a K-9, and that's one of the things that, you know, we've instructed Sergeant Smith and Rain Corps to be really good at, right, is that search and rescue part, because we have an aging community and we have young ones and that, you know, at least 3-4 times a year that we're out in the woods looking for somebody and we call for a K-9 for someplace else and the average wait time is a little over an hour. Be nice to have somebody there in 5 to 10 minutes or, you know, somewhere in that neighborhood. So, and he's already, like I said, last week, one of our officers called him in for a K-9 sniff for drugs and recovered some hardcore drugs. He's already proven his worth.
and he'll cost less in the second and third year anyway, once he's fully trained.
So, the grant covers, the training, it covers the equipment that we needed to put him, you know, to outfit a cruiser for him and stuff like that. And then the funds that are left over are available through the grant for us to continue to pay for that. And then also, I was watching online and I don't think anybody's online today, but, you know, it's not like, Tasco stepped up right away and said, hey, I heard you're got a K-9 you're bringing on. They pay for his food, which is
Tasco?
Tasco, yeah, and then the veterinary, clinic, which is,
Hanover Vet Clinics.
they stepped up and said that they do his regular, vet care for free at no cost to us.
50% off any surgeries or anything.
So, and as we manage the Stanton grant funds as well as we can, if say something were happen where he needed a surgery like that, we can use those funds that are in that grant to pay for something like that if needed.
I think that information that you just gave us about even just the one example of it coming into play and playing an important role are important factors to let the public know, to sort of reinforce that need and that it's being used, because I mean, as you know, people keep saying, well, they have this, they have that, and it's costing this and costing that. So I think anytime there's positive reinforcement of things that have been put in place, I think is critical to the public.
Or like the vet and the Tasco,
Right.
are they committing for the 3 years or kind of a year at a time?
Life. For the life of,
For the life of-
so the average working life, cause I hate to say life, the working
Yes,
career of a K-9 is 7 to 9, for a K-9 of that is 7 to 9 years.
okay.
Hopefully 9.
Yeah.
But, all right, the commitment we've gotten is for the life of, for the working
Yeah.
career of
I
the
didn't
dog.
know if it ended at the end of the grant.
No, I mean, not that they couldn't come back and say
Yes,
for, you know, and
right,
then
yeah.
we plan for that. Like I said, that's why we try to use the grant funds as, you know, wisely, but like, again, to the promise that we made to the community, you know, that it wouldn't, you know, for the first 3 years, or, you know, we wouldn't ask the taxpayers for money for the K-9, so.
And could you remind me, like, the position that's new that you're in, what percentage of your time job is that taking now? You know what I'm saying?
Depends what day you ask me.
Yeah, I know.
On
I'm
average,
just trying to figure out, you know,
See, I don't know if we ever figured out an hour, but one of the things we talked about a lot is the last 3 years that I've been here. A pretty good chunk of the chief's time was spent on the building projects and planning for the building projects. And with those being done, I'm hoping it's less, but you know, we're pushing some of that
it's always more.
into his realm. I think the first year or so, the initial lift of learning and meeting and doing those things will be a little bit more. We're hoping it's not that much in the future, but we did do this on a few year basis to see what that looks like, how it works together, and we'll continue to analyze that, but
What I'm trying to wrap my mind around is like, do we expect to see you out on patrol or at, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, no, I hear you. It doesn't take up so much of my time that I can't, I don't still participate in.
We still cover.
You can ask, yeah, I still cover shifts when I'm needed. Somebody
Yeah.
calls in sick, I'm out there, you know, ask the lady that I wrote a ticket on Shaker Hill Road the other day. You know,
we should write a few more.
you know, but,
Main Street too.
it's not overwhelming by any means. There's a lot to learn and there's a lot to,
A lot of it is organizational. I would say that from
And
the
that takes
meetings
time.
and from what Roy is presenting. I think a lot of it is organizational that he'll be helping us with. And as that gets organized, it may take less time just because it's more organized. Would you say that's
Yeah.
fair, Roy? That-
yeah, well, absolutely. Yeah, it's,
It's a very positive thing. Three people can sit down and discuss things that are going on.
That doesn't happen in a lot of businesses.
Besides, you can just dump it on Chief Fry.
Yeah. Right.
that's all his other work. No.
that is a lot of it, you know, so, you know, to be fair, you know, and transparent, like a lot of the day-to-day operations of the police department go through Deputy Chief Rob, right? Luke.
Yeah.
And that's why he's
Which is
a
good.
deputy chief, you know, ultimately, it comes down to, you know, to me for, you know, the shoulders to take the decision, you know, for what decisions are made on this and that, but we all work very closely together, all four of us, and I did not go into it with reservations of what I thought it could be. I went into this with great ideas of what I thought could happen, and I'm really happy to see that the fruit, you know, already starting to bear, you know, from just this budget process. And, you know, I mean, not to be, I don't like to be negative, I like to be positive, but I like to keep it, you know, last year sitting down here, you know, some of the stuff with some of the budgets are like, well, you know, we came in here with the four of us with a very clear, like, these are expectations for next year, and this is, you know, if you know, this is the information that we'll have for the budget committee, and if there's some questions, you know, this is where we get the answers.
I think it's a great idea, but I also know the bottom line in your budget is driven by employee costs. And so every time you restructure, sometimes that ends up going up and sometimes it's definitely worth it. And it isn't always worth it in terms of money, it is worth it in terms of quality of life for the community. And I understand that, but then when I write my check for my taxes, you know, like everybody else, we have to say, so what quality can we afford?
No, and I agree, and I think that this change, at least
I see that.
right now, was, and it was a low impact to, the budget, because
Yeah.
you know, just a couple,
You're already doing.
right, and just, you know, a couple of people that had to be bumped up in the middle were thing, I stayed at the same position that I'm at and stuff like that, so.
My observation is that among the towns of the Upper Valley, and I know a little bit about some of the other communities in the Upper Valley, we're one of the most organized groups of towns in terms of our safety personnel of all the towns in the Upper Valley. There are other towns that are looking at us and saying, how do we do it like them? Because what we hear right now is that we have our act together financially and operationally. And including right down to the fact that we have a chief in charge with a lot of building experience, is in charge of a brand new building. We're gonna keep an eye on it. I think we're doing quite well. And we should be very, very pleased with ourselves.
The thing that I think is by doing this, and then there's a quote from my sister who says, every time she gets battling with something or trying to straighten something out, there's no knowledge transfer. And by doing what you're doing, you're maximizing knowledge transfer. That more people know what's going on, and therefore better decisions you would hope would be made on that because you have the knowledge to make those decisions well. So I think it's good, but
Thank you.
I have to ask the questions because I'm trying to get a handle on it.
I love questions. Questions clarify stuff and questions make sure that there's no misinformation or very little misinformation and it, quells the bad information that's out there
Misunderstanding.
and misunderstands, absolutely.
And we've talked about where you're gonna be voting differently this year. Part of our job is getting this information out there so you get the votes. So we have to
And
know.
we'll be seeing the emergency facility building expend budget separately from.
Yeah, it'll be with the facilities. You do have two more emergency service budgets to go through.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
page 40 and page 41 is the emergency management budget. Which actually there's nothing requested, so that's a pretty simple one. And then the other public safety is I don't wanna call it a newer one because you had dispatch services, but that's where the combined telephone, internet, the supplies, postage, maintenance, repairs. I don't know that there's a lot to talk about in there because it was all zeros last year and it's all
So
But
what page
they're
you
all-
wanted at the bottom?
45.
45 on the bottom. 41 on the top. I always look at the top number. So if you're looking at the bottom, different number.
And I know this comes up every couple of years, so I'll just throw this out there, under dispatch services. We reached out so in our area, we have three choices. Hanover, Lebanon, and Grafton County.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, we don't really have three choices, so
We do, we don't.
we do, but we don't, right? So there's three different dispatch centers, I guess you'd say,
Oh, okay.
right?
Okay.
Lebanon, Hanover, and Grafton County. Lebanon said thanks, but no thanks. When we asked them for, what would it cost for us to come back? Cause 20 years ago we were with Lebanon.
Yeah.
And then Hanover and Grafton County were, in a very small percentage margin of each other, and Hanover, we are very happy with Hanover services, and, they've secured quite a bit of grant money over the last couple of years to upgrade equipment and this and that, and so it wouldn't be feasible or financially, smart to move to a different, but we try to look every couple of years just in case, so.
Do you see a risk of, so I'm gonna jump to conclusions and you can correct me. Is Lebanon saying no, but no thanks because simply they're too busy and they don't wanna?
Yes, it's absolutely. So I had a conversation with their chief, about it 6 months ago. And just prepping, kind of poking that bear and see what comes out. And he was like, let me look at it. Let me see, what the cost would be. And then when we actually, after he was able to look at it and this and that, I'm pretty sure his dispatch manager told him, heck no, like, but
I'm quitting
the
it.
cost of $119,000 won't even pay to bring on another full-time person for them. And Lebanon only dispatches for Lebanon.
Okay, all right.
And so they're not like Hanover who do 20 some odd
Okay.
towns. And
So you see the risk of Hanover one day saying, yeah, we're not interested, is very low.
no, yeah, it's very low.
They're
They're-
viewing themselves as a regional.
They bill themselves as a regional. They cover approximately 40% of their overall cost. And so all the other towns cover 60% of their dispatch center. So for them, and we are one of the larger ones, so for them to get rid of us, they would have to get rid of a person.
Yeah.
And they're looking to expand, not,
They dispatch in Vermont as well?
they do. Berkshire and
My
all
God.
kinds. I think they do like something like 50 fire departments and now they're up to like 10 or 15 police departments. Oh, wow.
Yeah, they've expanded quite a bit.
Okay. Okay. So there's really not a risk that we have to go figure it out.
No. And if we found ourselves in a bind, we would hop just to Grafton County.
All right, thank you. Anything else?
That's it.
I want to cover the budget updates.
Oh, budget updates, a lot of it where, okay,
Two pieces of paper that you received that have
and
yellow.
pages 105 and 106 at the bottom.
Oh, you go from the top to the.
That's because it's.
One question. Just what I would ask. Is there money doing a one article for that fund? So that after the budget committee?
We can talk about it.
Okay.
We have to really see what we have left over. So,
No, absolutely. I just wanted to throw it out there ahead of time. Want to do it now?
yeah, let's
Can I steal just a few more minutes of your time before? So one of the things that I would like to continue to do, so a few years back, we established through warrant article a fund that that one time put money into pay for the sign-on bonuses, the retention bonuses and stuff like that. And so this year, we were able to do it out of the money that we have from the open positions. And so what I would like to do is kind of throw it out there now, seeing how much money is left there in the end of the year to put a potentially warrant article in there to take some of the, I guess they'd be undesignated funds at that
It would
time.
be, but it would be money from fund balance to put into there.
To restock,
refresh.
Yeah.
refresh that fund, because I
Probably
know,
around the 20,000 mark or get it to the 20,000.
I think we need 20, because we're gonna need 20,000 in it for next year.
So that would not come out of taxes.
So,
No.
yeah,
So that's easy yourself.
are you staying long enough to talk about this piece of paper?
I can.
Okay, because the backside of that piece of paper is fund balance.
Okay. Yeah, and I think it really, to me, and that's what I was kind of whispering at them here, is I think we need to look at what we're bringing to the fund balance this year. I don't think we want to take anything from what's there now. But if we have a pot of money from that empty position, it's really using a little bit of that to offset. But I think you do need to look at what the overall impact of fund balance would be. So
What open position are you referring to?
the 8 months that we had no police officer in the position, that there's gonna be some extra money there. And if we can kind of make the story that that's going to fund balance and we pull a little bit of that for recruitment retention, the bonuses we are gonna have to pay out, and then if there's a little left in the future for the next open position, but I think it's easy to keep a little bit in there, and I personally like to try to fund it out of saved personnel costs.
Right. Seems reasonable.
So we're paying for 2026 retention bonuses with 2025
Unspent
They-
wages.
Unspent, yeah.
vacancies and unspent.
Yeah, unspent vacancies in
Because-
police.
Yeah.
Seems like,
Makes sense to me.
seems reasonable. I have another fund
We
balance.
need to do that by a
question.
warrant article, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah,
You just explain to me why we need a warrant article. Before we do it, should, yeah,
it's to spend fund balance.
to spend fund.
In order to be able to expend fund balance, you have to do a warrant.
Do you? I
Or
thought-
at least
It has to be included in an article, so there was one budget article that some money was coming from fund balance. It doesn't have to be separate. It could be part of, like, when we raise the budget, we use so much from fund balance.
this one might be
But
because
this-
we're not
but
putting
this
it
is
back in
separate.
the budget to offset a one-time expense. It'll be
Right, right.
money going from fund balance to this fund, so it'll.
Right, but doesn't, in the past, the select board has spent money from fund balance.
It
Yeah.
has to be approved by the voters.
When they use money from fund balance to lower taxes.
It has to go in the budget and go in the warrant article to be. They can't just do it.
Well.
Oh, yeah.
If you're using
increasing your overlay and you can change things that way. But yes, the use of fund balance goes through.
Yeah.
Read.
So then, so here, since we're talking
budget
fund
warrant
balance,
article, I believe.
why is the fund balance going down between the audited 2023 to estimated 2024? What money, because we didn't, because last year we were like, oh my God, we're not gonna spend anything from fund balance. So what came out of it?
What page are we talking about now?
108.
If we can look at the, is it on the CIP fund slide? We might need to pull that. We went through that in detail a couple weeks ago. I think it was what was actually in there, and this, we hadn't really changed that 2024.
Okay, do you know what I mean? Like, it's from the audited 2023 to the estimated 2024, it goes down by 150,000. Yet I thought we were concerned about its low level. I know the budget committee last year didn't spend any money from fund balance. I don't think the
didn't
select
spend
board
any of it.
spend any. So is that something we gotta look at? Maybe the number's not right?
That's my guess. That was probably the estimation in there, and then we added the actuals from the 2023 and didn't adjust the 2024.
Okay.
But we'll know the 2024 once the audit is done. And so we'll know that before the year is out,
Are we?
we hope.
Yeah,
That's a hope.
yeah.
It's a hope, but we hope. In which case, we can think about that in terms of setting the final budget.
But I think we should not, I would not bank on, oh, that number will be updated by the audit report. I think we should do
Right.
our own best effort to estimate it.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
At the moment, 1772.
Right, and I'm saying that money, that number can be right unless we spent 150,000 from fund balance and everybody says we didn't.
Or if we did not get the revenue in to cover.
Okay. So I'd like to know why it went down.
Hmm.
If it went down.
That's my guess, is it just
We'll
wasn't
check the estimate.
updated after the actual came in. So we'll get that for you.
Because if it is indeed 1.9, we're looking better with respect to the percentage than 1.7.
Yeah.
A lot better. Right, Oops. We going back to 105?
Are you going up to 105? So the majority of these are just shifting things from one line to another. So it'll tell you that, telephone is a shared expense, it was moved. So that particular line might have gone down, but it went up in the same amount in a different line.
Yep.
The big things, the ones that are highlighted in yellow, health insurance, dental, and employer paid ICMA, which is retirement funds. We won't know those numbers until a little bit later. It depends on what people elect to have for health insurance coverage or retirement. And let's see, the other big one was the municipal solid waste contracts. If you flip to page 106, it's about a little below halfway down the page. These are all in order by account number, so it starts with a 1, it should be a 0. 4323011115. You'll see in the second column, it increases the budget by 405,000. That's because in the Excel spreadsheet before it was merged, because I don't read all the spreadsheets when they're merged, I just merge them. A couple of zeros got dropped.
You think what happened is a decimal point instead of a comma,
Yes, there could have been
cuts off the rest of it.
right. So it was in there at $4,100 instead of 410,000. So
Wish it was right
unfortunately,
the first time.
so if you look down at the bottom, I kind of tried to proof things, make sure they were coming out right. Underneath the total line, it tells you what the budget amount was that you were presented on the 24th of September of 10.14 million.
Mhm.
this newest budget that you have is 10.5 million, which is a difference of 369,000. Which is less than the 405 that's gone up. So overall, except for that typo, we would have gone down.
What was our, 25 budget?
So actually. I should join the meeting, I guess, but
You should join me.
I should join the meeting. You know why, right? You know.
Yeah.
Okay, am I on Wi-Fi? Yeah, give me a second.
Is everybody on
He's got a spreadsheet put together.
Oh, you should jump.
Oh, there is one other, while he's doing that, one other big change was, on page 105, property liability insurance. We actually had a completely out of the blue, we knew they were gonna go up, but $31,000 increase in our insurance. We've never had anything like that before, so that was a bit of a surprise.
What do they attribute that to?
Some of it was use, but I think another big portion of it is the legislature attacking risk pools and making them have higher reserves than we've had before. So Health Trust got attacked, Primex got attacked, all the things got attacked to make sure that they have more than adequate reserves. So they did list that in their things, and then
So it's fair to understand it as a trickle down from Concord.
some of it, you know, when we blow up chippers at the transfer station, that doesn't help you.
No.
But sort of.
So Ed or Elisa, can you speak to, line 110 executive personnel, that went up by 60,000? What's going on there?
That's the position that we talked about. We went ahead and put it in so you can see it in your percentages.
So that's half a year.
That's half a year of salary for that position.
Okay.
There'll be some benefit trickle down as well. I told you about 85,000 total. But we put that salary in so we can start to see that we're talking compensation increase, that kind of thing.
Got it. Thank you.
And did you say we've already offered made an offer to a person for that
Not
position?
that position. It was the assessing and deputy clerk positions. Julie was retiring
Yep.
in December.
Yep.
And Daisy was leaving the deputy clerk. We've made offers and they've been accepted by two different people in those
Oh,
positions.
they don't.
So as of right now, this position I did put in the budget, but it's not an accepted position
Okay,
right now, and it's not. I think I want to make that clear. I think there was some confusion. It's not a new position. It's an overlap
right.
to train the new person to take over finance. I kept talking CFO, so I think some people got confused, but I want to hire someone with good finance experience to take over when Elisa retires next year.
Trying to get a sense.
Muted you, so we don't have audio issues.
But,
I muted you.
oh. I thought I had my microphone turned off. Is that big enough? So this is general fund only. Right? Okay, so the 10.5 million she was talking about was everything. Water, sewer, general, capital project. If grants, everything. This is general only. So salaries and wages increased by 7, benefits by 9, operating costs down by 1.8, debt up by 0.3, general fund increased 3.5.
Okay.
And that's with these updated numbers.
That was with this whole,
This current, right?
right, so like,
And
for
he can do
example,
it real easily if he wants to, but the 60,000 being in there is about 2% on the salaries. That I did, his came out to 60,000, so if he changes the 6 to a 0, you'll see exactly what it would be without that position.
The 60,000 is 2%. But if you back the 60,000 out, the increase would only be 2%.
The increase goes to like 5.4 instead of 7.4. He could do it really quickly.
That seems
I
like a
can
lot.
do, I can do it really quickly, yeah.
If you just change on your 2026, take the 6.
No, I'm not.
60.
I'm not messing with my equations. Because that is not a number, that is linked to another
Okay.
sheet that is,
Okay.
It's itself.
it is a cell with equations behind.
60,000, it's easy to subtract it.
And the number I did today was about 2% of the total increase in salaries.
Okay.
Total increase, not total salaries.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, thank you.
So the change in salaries for 7.41 would be like 5.
Yeah, I was.
Because you said there was some benefits in there too.
Yeah, but that wouldn't be in the salaries line.
No, but I mean the next line.
Yeah. They're not in there right now. I need to wait to see the benefits come in to see what we have to add or subtract from those.
So I know I asked it one way, let me try to ask it another way. Are there any numbers that we're waiting for in 2026 that we currently have a goose egg in there that we're gonna have to add?
We don't normally put a 0 in there, like health benefits we're waiting for. So I don't know exactly what we did. We either carry forward what we have or we add a percentage and put it in just to get us close.
Yeah, okay.
We don't, yeah, I don't like to do 0. If we know there's something, we try to give you our best guess of what it is. The only thing that's not in there, like I said, was the benefits from this position. Because I want to see where our benefits go, but I talked about this at the select board meeting, our last like 5 employees that came on. We've done a pretty good job of selling the opt-out, and the opt-out saves the town a ton of money.
Mhm.
So with them doing that, looking at percentage, there's a possibility we may be able to pull the benefits down. So if I can add that position in, still pull down a little or keep about the same, then we won't see much change, but
So Ed, I'm assuming when people opt out, they still get something.
our opt-out program, we set a policy a couple of years ago with the select board where they get 50% of the single person benefit.
Okay.
For the most part, single people aren't gonna be able to opt out. So it's, even though it would still be a cost saving, it's not much, it's opting out the 2% and the families.
Mhm.
A family plan's $24,000 to $25,000, and if they're getting 6,000 to 7,000 of that, the town's making
Right.
the rest of that. And so it's a really good savings for the town. I've sold a couple of them on the fact that we can give you this hourly rate, but if you have benefit somewhere else, we can give you another $240 something a paycheck, and it helps pay the bills a little bit.
Right, so but in that case, they're mainly opting out of a single person plan.
We pay them 50% of the average single
Right.
plan.
But the average person adopting out of a family plan.
Right, are there a lot of people opting out of family plans? That seems unlikely.
You have to, 'cause you have to have insurance some other way.
Right, so like if your spouse has insurance at
Yeah,
Armit
you
and
use
opt out of her
theirs.
plan,
Yeah.
you're saving only on the single person plan because that person would not be getting a family plan with the spouses of.
But
Well, it depends.
You may get better coverage, for less money for the family.
What we see, I think, happening is people that were gonna do a family plan here, opt out, go on to insurance that may not be quite as good as what the town gives to get an extra little bit of payment.
Okay,
So you're not saving just on the
Yeah.
one person plan. They're moving their whole family sometimes.
Adrian, what is the 5.23%
so,
and 2.77%?
right, so
represent?
the 5.2% is what is the increase in salaries and wages if we didn't have the 60,000 for the overlapping position?
Right.
And then the 2.77 is what would be the increase in the annual budget, general fund budget, if we didn't have that overlapping position? Because that's.
So, and I
what
wanted you
people were
guys
asking.
to see that overall with the salary compensation study, everything, we're looking around 5% total increase, not 7.41% for salaries.
So, I did hear from somebody recently, and I'm not saying I agree with this or disagree with this, but just something that somebody said to me. That the state continues to hold all of their wages steady. And they're not having, wage increases again this year. I think I have. In my head, I think I have a comeback to that. But what does the committee think of that, comparing our town employees to state employees in the percentage of salary increase they're getting over the last couple of years?
Well, first, let us get you the facts, because I don't think that's true.
It's not true.
Absolutely not
With
true.
DOT, and they've had like a $5 to $7 increase.
We want you guys to.
6%.
I heard.
I think it was an average of 6% for the state employees last year.
Yeah.
Way it keeps going up, but it's never accurate.
I'll tell them you said.
But regardless, we paid for a compensation study because we're losing employees that are gonna cost us money. And then we have spent 2 years getting people where they're, now competitive. So why would we put ourselves back in that same position? And then you're gonna do another study, pay for that, I think we have to be as conservative as we can be, but if our goal is to retain our employees, and we have good employees overall, why would we throw that away?
I think it was along the same line.
And, yeah,
There's only one state. I mean,
yes, right,
don't argue with me on that for a second. There's only one state, whereas there's numerous towns around, so I'm marketable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're shooting for the median. We're not shooting for the high end of the pay spectrum.
Yep.
We're shooting for the middle to be average, if you will. And
I'm trying to find you.
I think the point also needs to be made that in order not to change the services presently being offered to the public, and relying on our administration from the town manager on through to identify those costs, I think it would be inappropriate to start to say we're going to cut what has been recommended if we don't identify cutting services. So to maintain services, I think it's been identified to us what the cost is. Whether or not the state does what the state does, that has no bearing at all on my thinking, to be honest. Nor frankly, does any other town around us have a bearing, because if it costs us to do a certain level of service, that's our responsibility to the public. That's what they've asked for.
Yeah, and some of this is we can lay out a couple of positions, but the new assessing person coming on is taking a pay cut to take the job. The deputy clerk, we were paying 23. She left here to get 35 at the same exact position in another town.
Mm-hmm.
I hired the next person at 28. I'm not going to 35. I can't. We have way too, they would have to move everybody up the scale. So, we're trying to squeeze people in where we can, but even that is reflected in this, where that person may not be getting a pay raise, but I had to go to a certain level just to get something in.
Yeah, that doesn't do much when you have people that have been here and then you take people in that higher than people that are here. It causes a big morale problem, so I get that.
So it's been a puzzle, can tell you that. The other thing we're fighting is just the basic inflation in economics. Drive by Home Depot, they're hiring at $21 to $22 an hour.
23, it's posted.
And we're paying new snowplow drivers 24. I mean, if we want to attract somebody, we've got to raise, and it's going to affect in that.
You want to study poor people because there's a lot of history and again, transfer knowledge that you want to maintain for your town.
And our cost of replacing personnel is very high. I mean, the chief has the highest level of replacing personnel, but it affects all the trades, all the way through the DPW, right through administration, down at the town hall. The costs of replacing a current employee and retraining, overtime by the other employees to teach them, it adds up very quickly.
Dimitri, have you done the same analysis for the all-in, not just the general fund?
Of course I did.
You were just waiting for somebody.
Was waiting for you, Dan.
Just like we rehearsed.
Which one do you want to see?
I want to see the grand total of.
Like everything,
Yes,
everything?
please. Yeah.
Oh, we normally don't look at that, but
Look at all my tax bills.
yeah, but so
But it
actually,
doesn't
no, they don't impact
affect
your
your
tax
tax.
bills.
You're right.
You don't,
Right. You're right.
water fund doesn't impact you, sewer. Rephrase.
It affects,
If you don't, take town water or town sewer, they don't impact your property tax rate. TIF district does not impact your property tax rate. So this lovely pie chart is for the funds that impact your property tax rate.
I understand. Let me rephrase.
Yeah, I know.
You
It
after this
affects,
one?
many of my friends that are on water and sewer.
Oh, okay. So water, I have those. So they're gonna be a little bit misleading for water. Because water is showing a big decrease because last year had the
Loan funds.
the loan fund in it. So if you look at, yeah, water is a mess because of the loan funds.
Hmm.
You had it broken out without,
Yes, so I recall, I don't know where I have that now, but, yes, I back out capital outlay
yes,
and capital reserves, because those are not general operating. And that made a difference.
yes, and so I don't
don't
remember the
remember.
numbers, I can get those. But sewer is increasing 4%. So I usually ask, actually I had it here, sewer is increasing 4%.
Have they finished all the manhole sealing stuff now?
Yeah, it's looking like, and we have to put it with two things, with the INI project and the drought that we had this year and less stormwater. It looks like we're coming in on our treatment costs about 98,000 less than projected, which means that goes towards fund balance. The other thing, I mean, we might have talked about it in here, I know I talked about it, the select board, is we have budgeted 25,000 to go to the capital fund, and I have no plan on moving that to the capital fund, that'll go to fund balance. And I think a year or two of that, and we're gonna push ourselves out of the negative fund balance issue. Once we get that done, then we can reestablish and re-talk about capital savings, but so my focus right now in the sewer fund, it kind of has been, but really putting another concerted effort on just getting out of that negative fund balance situation. But the INI project looks like it's gonna make leaps and bounds on the treatment costs. And then if Lebanon continues through with the lowering of rates, which we have one more rate setting meeting in about a month, that will really help us get out of that
And when you're talking fund balance, you're talking the sewer.
The sewer negative fund balance, yes. And then we'll talk a little bit more, probably at the select board level on the water. As we get in the finance report, you'll see that we have quite a little capital saving or fund balance going in there, so we may need to just look at capital savings and what we need to do in the water fund to make things better, but both of those funds are moving towards being healthier. So
And those are paid for by users.
they're all paid for by users, yes. Okay, a little bit of good news on the sewer side too. We may need to ask for some more money coming up. We'll talk about that at the select board meeting, but the $1.9 million loan that we got approved, we are going to be closing that project out soon, and we have used zero money of loan funds. It's all been ARPA grant funds at this point. So I think we're gonna get that entire project done for little to no cost to the town.
And I plan to send this out once the town checks a few numbers. So, mainly because I don't wanna go delete a bunch of sheets and then reinsert them. So I want some of the numbers checked on the other sheets. Like this one that everybody's probably familiar with. You know, this is the one that we see all the time that go in meetings. This is not zooming in, no, it's still. And so the red numbers. You know, I believe the CIP number is correct. That's the one that I got from the meeting last time. But then here's some revenue estimates. I want those double checked. And the reason I want all that double checked is because everybody will go straight to the bottom and look at the impact on taxes collected.
Wouldn't you?
I would too. And so that's why I want the numbers checked. But. And so.
That, and not that I haven't, but I'm going on a trip this weekend and my goal is to scour the budget on those plane rides. So.
And so. So the general fund. Go all the way to the top is that same number again. It goes up 3.5%, right? I'll have to do a lot of explaining why is water going down 87, but I'll manage that.
We can get you the numbers. So you can
Yes.
show.
Sewer goes up 4, right? So the total funds going down 20% is skewed by water going down. CIP is going up almost 6. Gotta confirm this, but here's where police could go in, right there. Right?
Sure. Wherever you want to put me.
That's where it was in 2020.
That's where
There
it
we
was
go.
in 2020.
What is it? It was 25,000
It
or
was
20,000?
20,000.
That's what we should do.
So here
Again,
I'm
just because I know we got another $10,000 payment that goes out
but I'm gonna make it
next year, and then
in red.
we have potentially a $10,000 either retention, or if that person doesn't take their retention, which typically means they plan on going someplace for the more money, we'll have it, hopefully a $10,000 payment for a certified person.
So if somebody defaults and now they owe you the money back,
Yep.
how does that work?
So in the contract that they sign, it's for the retention.
Yeah.
Bonus, yep, so in the, so for that, somebody would already have been with the PD for at least 3 years.
Mhm.
And so in the contract that they sign, they automatically forfeit any of their vacation time, their last 2-week paycheck. And then the town would, and then the town manager would decide if we, whatever's left over after that, right? So let's say for the average, you know, I gotta beg my officers to use their vacation time sometimes. So, you know, it could be
Yeah.
anywhere in that neighborhood of maybe $5,000 to recover after that, and that would
Mhm.
be the town manager's.
It really depends on how the whole thing transpires and what we decide to chase. One of the ones we've lost in the past is that, and the town they were going to pay the difference.
And that's the standard.
Okay.
In the industry, it's not a requirement, obviously, that's a standard, right? So for instance, if I had somebody come to me that wanted to work for us and there was somebody we wanted and we had an opening, you know, when they said, hey, I got $5,000 left on my contract and they were eligible for a $20,000 sign-up bonus, then they would get 15 and we would pay the 5 off to the other town, and that would be the structure. If they came and they said they had $20,000 left on their contract and they were getting a $20,000 sign-up bonus, that's where it would go. They don't get them both.
Okay, because what I'm hearing is there's some discretion there, but I'm basing my decision on it's going to happen, that we're getting that money back.
So I'll tell you this.
Not part of it, but.
No, this is what I can tell you. The only experience we've had with it so far was one person that was on their contract and they had, was $7,000 or so left on their contract. They, you know, and it wasn't their fault. When they went to this other town, that was the assigned agreement that they would pay off their contract. And then the other town tried to negotiate with us. And we held our ground and said, no, you're paying the full amount, and they did, so.
Where the discretion comes in is, you know, if we had to go to the point of going into a lawsuit or something to get it back.
Yeah.
Are we gonna spend 10,000 to get 3,000? That's where the discretion comes in. And we do that on other things. You know, is it worth chasing this down? Are we gonna spend more money trying to get this back than it is to walk away?
So I'm surprised nobody has asked why is the tax rate going up 5 when the budget's going up 3.
I needed to review my screenshots before I.
So
Revenue.
the reason is revenue is projected to go down by 2.
And why is that?
You read
So-
those?
We reviewed it.
So we went through it, but there's a few things. One of the big things is I can't remember if I had it in there or not.
We lowered licenses and permits.
Yeah.
No, rooms and meals was actually increased.
Yeah, I increased that a little bit and
Yeah.
that's where I wanna go through
And then-
revenues again and double check to see if I can't.
Right, and then
Okay.
charges for services went down. But then again, you know, last year was higher than was much higher than it was the year before. So anyway, we reviewed that 2 meetings ago. And that was essentially a 2% decrease. And we can scrub it again, but we should be careful not to
Yeah.
overestimate our revenues, because at the end of the day, remember, the revenues are just a guess. When the tax rates are set, actuals are used. So we can make it look better by estimating higher revenues, but then at the end of the day, it won't matter.
I would much rather I'd much rather go with a 5% increase and get a 3 than go with a 3 and get a 5. So I will look through those again, and as we continue through the budget process, we can have some of those discussions on a few of those items. One of the things right now, motor vehicle fees are coming in over budget, so I want to look at that again and see if maybe we can put a little bit more in there. As we come to the end of the year on the sale of these properties, we can make a little bit of a guess. The problem with that, we did that last year, we put the 90,000 in for Shed Street, it didn't sell, but even if it did, that's gonna drop off the year after that, so. It's a strategic budgeting move at that point, I mean, we wanna budget actuals and we wanna do it right, but we need to know that that's going away if we do budget and it's a one-time thing.
And where are we at, Ed, with the selling of the properties, with the RFPs and all of that?
The RFP for Depot Street went out yesterday.
Oh, okay.
And then I'm in the middle of working with Vanessa Stone on signing or getting the contract ready to sign for Union Street. That should be listed by next week.
Okay.
So I'm trying to move those along pretty quickly. I'd love to cover that 90,000 we budgeted that it doesn't look like it's coming in.
And anything new on the old DPW properties? Shed Street, nothing new?
No.
Okay.
I can push a little bit. I mean, DES has, 2 months to make a ruling normally, so.
Okay.
we can push a little. They usually wait to the next to the last day.
Should those guesses really be put in the budget, or should they be looking at it as ways that it's a surplus compared to budgeted if it sells? Since there's such uncertainty in that estimate.
It depends how we want to budget it. DRA is gonna take it into account as actual. So, it's still gonna hit the budget, but, we need to know that it's a one-time thing and it can and will affect the next year's budget. So the one thing we can do if we want to offset that in the budget is like put something in there to move some of that money to fund balance and it's an expenditure and then we can actually move the actual expense over. We can do some of those things just to offset and get it out of the budget so we don't feel it next year when it happens. But that's all strategic discussion as we get a little closer to the end of this budget process.
Be interesting where the actuals for 2025 will come in at. If they're gonna be above the 2.09. Or below,
For revenues?
Mhm.
Yeah, revenues are gonna be above.
that's good.
Revenues will be above and expenses will be below.
Tax rate should be lower than predicted.
Yeah, it won't change on expenditures, but I think revenues will be, I think they'll be above that 90,000 kind of hinge how far they
Okay.
are. I don't know if we'll sell anything prior to tax rate setting time, which is coming really quick, so. It probably won't be in there, but the permit fees from the clerks is running really close to what or it's trending towards really close to what that is off. So I think we can offset that in the tax rate setting. So
Ed, the RFP for, Depot Street, does that, when that RFP goes out, does it have a, like, minimum? Okay,
no, there's no minimum cost. It's pretty much give us your. I think it says right in there that what you're gonna do with the building and cost is gonna be looked at by the select board and there's gonna be a decision made. The select board kinda, and Tracy can speak better than I can, but I think they kinda said not that they don't wanna get the most money, but the use and how that's gonna be done is a little more important in Depot Street and Union Street. We wanna maximize the amount of money.
But either way, the object is to get it back on the tax rolls. So it may be a compromise between what we can get on Depot Street compared to what someone may say it's worth. But the idea is that we want it on the tax rolls.
Where's Depot Street?
The
ambulance
ambulance
building.
building.
Yeah, I know, where's that?
So just over the bridge to the left.
You lived here.
Just so if you go over the bridge, take a left. You go up you go have Shaker Hill, just as you go over the bridge to the left hand. Turn,
Okay,
goes right to the rail trail, backside of the,
Right by the rail
right,
trail.
backside of the fire department.
okay.
Yeah,
I'm sure I've been there.
You,
It's just-
yeah,
across the tracks from the fire
Okay.
If
station.
you wanna go, let me know.
The object is the same with the former fire station, get it back on the tax rolls.
Yeah.
So we may end up compromising on what we can accept as an upfront revenue from it. But once it's on the tax rolls, then
It makes sense.
that's the long-term stream.
So before the next budget meeting, you should have that in your email.
Speaking of which, when is the next meeting?
It's a. November. 2 weeks.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roy.
Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you. That's two of them on the conservation commissioner. December.
Budget?
No, it's just set for the next meeting.
Yeah.
Great. I can.
Anything else to discuss or no?
The 13th, because.
There was something else on the agenda, but I already read it.
I think it was only gonna be December, right?
Yes, we got that the other day,
But do you normally get that every month?
every other
I think
meeting,
it's the 6th and 20th.
every other meeting.
Because I.
It's once per month.
This is what you get.
Unless you did
Yes.
the 20,
Okay.
13th.
I think you did the 6th and the
13th.
It was like,
Now, we didn't get the entire
I
budget
think
in
it's
the
the
summer.
13th and.
yeah, but you get this 2 pages.
Yes,
It is too.
every
Dimitri,
once.
the next meeting is,
Better.
The 13th and the 20th on my calendar, is that?
Oh, is it in 3 weeks?
Sorry.
So it's.
Yeah.
Put it in.
Oh,
and
hold on. Yeah, is it not in 2 weeks?
I think we're gonna vote.
I think they were the 2nd and 4th. They're not every 2 weeks. They're on.
No, I noticed,
It's not normally on the first Thursday because that conflicts with conservation.
Okay. Because I know there was one month where there were two meetings, 1 week after the next.
Yeah, I
Is
think
that-
that's
is that-
November.
Is that November?
Because we're still on
Till
December
13th.
4th.
Yeah, November, I think we moved up because it was supposed to be Thanksgiving week.
Yes,
So I think it's the 13th and 20th back to back.
so in 3 weeks then.
Okay.
But still, I'll aim to get, I'm sure we can get the red numbers figured out really quick. In about a week, get that in your email. That'd be great. Can I request, I like this?
It's the new, we're working on a new finance report to go with the expenditures and stuff that you guys have gotten
Yeah,
to give you just a little bit better picture of what's
Yes.
there
and so you're thinking of doing that on a regular basis?
monthly.
Okay. To the whole budget committee, as on
And the
a
select
routine
board.
basis.
Yeah, you guys always got the expense revenue
Yes.
report, you'll start
Yes.
getting this. I will tell you, and I can talk to the select board as we go forward, you know, those first few months, there's probably not gonna be a lot in the executive summary.
Yep.
There's just not a lot going on. I can update you on,
What would be the 25th?
we ordered a police car, we did this, some of
Yeah.
those things. I do wanna put that at the end. If you look at the very last page, on the fourth page, if you will, there's, coming soon. I wanna put like the proposed CIP capital projects in there.
Yep,
And then start to build a graph where you can see what's gonna be spent, how much has been spent, and what's left to spend. So you guys just kind of start to get a picture, so, what we wanted to do, even though this is under construction, is start to get it out, so if there's something that's like, ooh, it'd be really nice to see this, one of the things, Eric Russell mentioned was that in the treasurer's report area,
yes,
or somewhere around there to put what our actual school payment is.
Yep.
And then what we're looking for upcoming county payments, when that might be due, how much it is.
Yep.
Just to kind of help with, as you're looking at how much cash is in the bank, you'll know.
Yep.
Kind of what's going out.
you can imagine I like the treasurer's report section.
Well, I think that's a big part for you guys to see. Right now, we're giving reconciliation updates as we're trying to catch up. That part below there that says we're reconciled through in our policy, it says the treasurer will do reconciliation. She does bank reconciliations every month, but I want her or them, whoever it is,
Mhm.
to work with our finance team to document like a third-party set of eyes. How far are we reconciled? Where are we at? So if we're falling behind in any way, you'll see it on the monthly report where you're at. Tax collector report. I don't know if you guys got it, but the select board got her report every month.
Mhm.
This is just a boiled down version of that a little bit. Same thing, revenue expense report. I probably won't ever put anything under that because it'll probably be in the summary on the front.
Yep.
But they'll be with this. We'll look at your fund balance number, but I want to keep fund balance for all the funds on there, just so on a month to month, you can remind yourself that they're there. Again, now we're back to that coming soon, capital projects. I want to get a list of the actual reserve funds we have and what they are. Again, those won't change month to month, but it's just in your mind that they're there, an easy place to grab it. And then I want to build a chart. We kind of have one going, but I want to expand on it a little bit and just document throughout the year on this report, what grants we've applied for, which ones we received.
That's great.
Those types of things. So you see it on a rolling month to month basis.
I don't have to go
Digging.
digging when I write the presentation.
So I think once we get this built, I can assign certain sections to certain people and it should be a really quick
Quick
update
updates.
monthly. It shouldn't take staff a lot of time. One of the things, we have a meeting actually in a few weeks with the Edmonds Finance Group. I'm pretty much gonna ask them if they can build most of this report for us, so it's just a print it out. We can add in the few things that we need to add. And
And I like the simplicity of it, but I also like your town manager's notes. If there's something that's out of whack, be proactive and not waiting for somebody, hey, why is this only at 50%? It should be at 62%. Putting a note in there.
yeah, I think that's really important, not only to highlight it for you guys, but it lets you guys know that we're watching that stuff.
Yeah.
And so we're looking at those. it's a pretty extensive list now. I think that's the part that probably the first 6 months of the year, you're almost gonna see nothing in there, because the way town budgets work, your guess is as good as mine. Until we start getting into some of the big projects, we start getting deeper in the year to look at salaries, those types of things. Then we can start managing around 6 months, and then it really starts to matter closer to the 9 month mark. But we can put some things in there of, well, last year in April, we heard we have an unbudgeted $200,000. That would go in there right away. And so, and then what type of things are we doing to kind of watch that and manage that?
Great. Question about sewer. Is there actual money in the capital savings account?
Yes.
Oh.
And we can't take that out to pay fund balance. I already talked about that. But I can
how much
stop
is in
putting
it?
in.
How much is in it?
Don't know offhand.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Had
Let
I
me-
known, I would have
Let
said
me add
too.
capital to both of those.
Um,
That's exactly what we're talking about.
I would have said the same thing. Why are we saving when the checking account is negative?
Yeah.
Get the checking account positive
You don't
first.
save for vacation when you're upside down?
Just go on and charge.
Okay, yeah, I like this, so I appreciate you doing that. All right, anything else?
If not, I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
All right, meeting adjourned. Happy evening, everybody.
And so, this is for the financial thing for maximum, did you get it?
I'm gonna talk to the manager.
We can.
What I got back is you said you'd go, Dan said he'd be out of town, and I heard from nobody else.
About